The season finale of Andor just dropped on Disney Plus, making it the longest Star Wars series after just one season with a total of 12 episodes. I have so much to say about it, but overall, I thought it was... Welcome back, Star Wars fans. It is time to discuss the season finale and season as a whole of Andor, a series that week after week has delivered
banger after banger after banger after banger after banger.
And while this is a show that I have loved watching every episode, I've not been able to cover it week to week, which means I have a lot to say about the season and this finale. So this is your final spoiler warning. I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you in the title, be careful in the comments. Let's talk Andor. The show that kept on surprising week after week. Not just in its story structure, not just in its characterizations, but really how it explores the real ugliness and greediness of what it takes to start a rebellion. For the first time, maybe since Rogue One, but really handled in a much more nuanced way, we see how it is not all good versus evil. The moral complexities of each character feel analyzed week to week, where their worldviews are constantly challenged, and nothing about them ever felt clear-cut through this series. As Andor journeyed into doing these jobs, trying to survive for himself, he starts to being presented these challenging worldviews that shift the way he thinks, the way he sees the world. From that first mission in the Eye of Aldhani, which gave us some of the most beautiful Star Wars imagery ever, and that whole escape sequence, essentially out Castle Run, the Castle Run from Solo: A Star Wars Story, a film I really enjoy, but the weightiness, the stakes, the sense of emotion, and the sense of gratification as the ragtag crew of rebels really got the job done. But what came after? That other guy was about to do the same thing Cassian thought of doing when he first met this team. So he sees himself being forced to kill this dude to protect the others, to protect the mission, to protect the secrecy, but he doesn't like it. The way Tony Gilroy depicts each and every one of these characters and every single step that they take, he shows really compelling people in a very grounded way. He shows us people that are ill-suited for this endeavor. And that's what everyone feels like. Everyone feels like they're ill-suited for this mission because the grasp of the Empire and the entire galaxy is so firm and is so unshakable. So no matter the perspective that is presented, whether it's Andor stepping onto this world that is so much bigger and much more dangerous than he ever realized, as Luthen, the man who recruited him, points guns at him in case he steps out of line. Luthen himself is working within the shadows on the highest levels of Coruscant alongside the aristocrats, such as Mon Mothma, and down in the dirges, down in the sewers, where he delivers that inspiring monologue that Stellan Skarsgård should get an Emmy nomination for. That entire monologue about how he's made his mind a sunless place, how he knows everything he's working for, he's not gonna see that reward. That reward is not gonna be for him. And he's okay with that. He knows what he has become. He has become as much a monster as the Empire has. But he's willing to do it. And he's trying to find the people who are willing to do it as well. Whether that is Cassian, who we see going on this journey where he doesn't believe in a higher purpose. He doesn't believe in helping out your fellow man. He doesn't believe that his actions have an impact because he doesn't see it. He's trying to survive for himself. And through this journey, we see what he believes in being challenged, starting by his mother, right after the mission in Aldhani, where he got his money. He now has a chance to escape from this horrible life, from this surviving, really. He can live out in space, out through the galaxy, taking jobs. But she sees the impact of that mission. She sees the larger purpose. Cassian sees the trees, but his mother, amazingly played by Fiona Shaw, she sees the forest. She sees the impact that the small people like him can have. The ripple effect is felt from them. And so the second half of the series, as Mon Mothma gets a funder, she begins arranging marriages, she begins maneuvering around, playing the political game that is needed to be played, and the tension continues to be at an all-time high. Luthen begins bargaining with Saw Gerrera, and we begin to see the real ugliness of the rebellion. These are not good people. There are racist factions within the rebellion where they only accept humans. They don't accept aliens. So they're as bad as the Empire is, much as Luther himself believes he is. And so we see Cassian being arrested. He's trapped in this factory where he meets the amazing Andy Serkis, who gives such a great performance. And this back half of the series is all kinds of spectacular. Where now Cassian, to escape, he's in a position where he has to trust others. He has to challenge their worldview, where they've accepted their reality. They're here to work and do the same routine every single day because they have no chance at surviving if they even try a rebellion. But Cassian instigates that critical thinking in Kino Loy. He instigates that critical thinking in everyone around him, and so this mutiny is unleashed and they are able to escape, leading to a spectacular sequence where the prisoners take over with this very carefully orchestrated plan, which is the best part of this series. It's not getting to that payoff. It's seeing all the careful, deliberate steps that each character takes. And with each step, because it is so methodical in its pacing, you feel the weight. You feel the stakes. You understand the dangers of each maneuver that these characters make. Again, whether we're talking Cassian, whether we're talking Luthen, whether we're talking Mon Mothma, these characters operating on different levels of a rebellion, but really on different levels of society, on different levels of class. There is real sophistication in how Tony Gilroy depicts the banality of evil, where the Empire is not really given a face. We just see people doing a job as they believe in this cause, whether it's the ISB officers all dressed the same, or Cyril Karn working in these cubicles where everyone just feels like a machine within a cog. But the industrialism of the Empire, the infrastructure in itself, is the evil that oppresses all the individuals that we get to meet on the other side of this figurative battlefield. The oppressors are just a machine. They're not individuals. They're a collective that just holds power. But the individuals, the people, they're the ones that rise up. This contrast grounds the entire experience and gives it this edge of reality that makes the whole journey extremely compelling to watch from both sides. This is the first series in Star Wars that not really analyzes the power, the grasp of the Empire, but really takes us through the complicated engineering of bringing a rebellion to life. It's a spark that takes a lot to catch on fire. But once we get to this finale, it feels rewarding, where Cassian escapes with just one other guy after Kino Loy has to stay behind and supposedly perish because he can't swim. And as soon as Cassian gets a victory on a large scale where he now sees, I can have an impact, I can help people, I can be more than just a man, I can bring something to life, which is everything that Luthen was trying to teach him. But then his mother, the person who believed it, she dies. And she doesn't die at the ends of the Empire. She's not murdered, she's not imprisoned, she just dies out of old age. And so the show didn't feel the need to have this spectacular, heroic moment, because this show isn't about heroes. This show is about people. But it challenges these people and what they are willing to do, what they are willing to sacrifice. And that's the main theme of this series. And because she didn't have an heroic death, because she died in a way that she may very well be forgotten, just like Cassian's father did, as we have all these incredible flashbacks as he was murdered in the streets, and it traumatized his mother so much that she became a prisoner of her own life. She didn't do anything. These people didn't do anything. And because they didn't do anything, because they sat still, the Empire grew stronger. The Empire grew larger. And so now it's Cassian who takes action. It's what Marva believed in that inspires him and everyone that they knew to rise up and challenge the Empire's oppression. So in her last act, even after she's gone, that holocron comes up and her words sent chills down my spine and have an impact. They have an effect on those who watched and sat like she did. It is so fucking poetic how Marva Andor became haunted by her silence in life, and so her first act in death is a rallying cry, guilt-tripping everyone who followed her example to rise up. Once she's out of this world, she basically breathes life into everyone else that came into contact with her. As she understood the impact of Cassian's actions, so must now everyone else. And her death, despite just happening off screen, despite not having this glorious moment where she gives her life away, it means something. It gives meaning to everything that happens in this show until this point. And so the entire journey, all the struggles, they feel meaningful. They feel weight because this journey wouldn't have this incredible payoff without the death, the seemingly insignificant death of Marva Andor. It was her inaction that made this moment so powerful. And Fiona Shaw, the writers, they all nailed it. It brings the entire theme of sacrifice to a full circle conclusion, where after the trauma of seeing her friend dead in the streets like he was nothing, she very much died right there with him. For the rest of her life, she survived day to day, but she won't allow any of these people to stay quiet. And so they realize that sacrifice is worth it to face up to this faceless empire, to these oppressors. And Cassian himself has learned that as well. And it is so compelling to see this resolution given to it, when it feels arduous to reach this point, where it feels like we went on an adventure that in his finale feels so much bigger than how the show started, and yet is able to have this sense of intimacy, where it feels personal, where it feels like we're grounded with these characters following their individual journeys, but we see the major impact that it can have. Figurative, symbolic throughout the series, but now there's a literal sense to it. Now it's real because everyone is ready and does take action, following the example of Marva Andor. And as we're building up to this riot, to this mutiny, to the people standing up against the Empire and going at him, we're reminded of the words of Cassian's first mission. Oppression is the mask of fear. And as soon as the riot begins, you see the fear in their eyes. You see the Empire shaken to the core and really being taken down on a very small scale, to the point where Deidre is almost murdered, but Cyril rescues her and they just hide away until everything is over. It's ugly, it's gritty, it's complex. There's not a real sense of victory, but there's a sense of impact. That the journey of this season challenged our protagonist and really changed him. Where Cassian now, he stays behind to help others. He lets Bix, who was tortured, who was mangled, psychologically and physically traumatized by the Empire, Cassian helps her and B2 escape. That's not the Cassian at the beginning of the series. Cassian at the beginning of the series would have run to a ship and gotten out of there as fast as he could. The Cassian in this finale, that was changed by the missions through this season, that was changed by the dangers that the Empire represented, that changed the people around him, is now himself changed. He lets them on the ship, he tells them the coordinates to be safe, and then he goes to Luthen, who he now realizes has orchestrated to murder him, and he tells him, you either kill me now, or you take me to the next step, and let's actually make a difference. That's earned conflict, that's earned character resolution, and it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel contrived. Every step to get to this resolution, to get to meet this Cassian Andor, this was earned through this entire series. And it feels rewarding to journey through this chilling, really spy thriller where every week it feels like our hero is losing. It feels like he's being taken down. It feels like the oppressors are not gonna budge, and the oppressed do not stand a chance, where every small victory he has is met by an even bigger defeat that feels insurmountable. It feels like a crushing weight constantly stepping down on the protagonists. But eventually, the oppressed snaps, and that's the impact we feel in this finale. Before I give you my final thoughts on Andor Season 1, I need you to start a conversation about it in the comments below. How do you rank all the Star Wars show thus far? Is this one your favorite, your least favorite, anything and everything down there? And if you're enjoying this Andor review, while I didn't review every single episode, there's more Andor reviews right up here for you to find, and more Star Wars content on my channel. If you enjoyed this, there's so much more for you to enjoy. So if you want to talk more movies and TV, this is the place to be, so consider clicking that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. So Andor just kept on surprising me week after week. It explored the new perspective within Star Wars, a tale of burgeoning rebellion where every single character felt like they were in constant danger. You never knew who you could trust because the characters all feel so complex and each emotion that they elicit is so complicated. There is no clear good guy. There is no clear bad guy. You even understand the side of the ISB officers, where they start from this place where they believe in this cause. They believe in the Empire and the order it brings. They believe in something bigger than themselves. Cassian doesn't. And that's where the intrigue is generated, is seeing this character going through these different challenges as he's presented all these different worldviews, and he's combated by people he doesn't know, but even by people he knows, the people he trusts, and they challenge his perception of reality. And so it never stops being intriguing, never stops being really having this sense of unpredictability from week to week, where every time we see Val meeting with Mon Mothma or meeting with Luthen's assistant, and everyone is taking these steps, they're just making the plot thickening, no pun intended. Everything just feels more complicated with all the details we find out, and everyone just feels necessary. Everyone feels like a necessary piece in this cog that is the rebellion. That's where the complexity comes, because everyone at one point or the other is looking out for themselves. But what are they willing to sacrifice? What are they willing to put on the line? Themselves? Their family, in the case of Mon Mothma, their position of power, which she believes is a help for the rebellion, for the good guys? Tony Gilroy made sure everyone we meet is compelling in their own way, but is challenged in their view of the world. So no matter who we attach ourselves to, no matter who we agree with throughout the series, we ourselves are challenged as the series unfolds. So the experience is rousing. The experience feels gritty, but feels grounded, because there's no real spectacle. There's no lightsabers, there's no Jedi, there's no Force. There's just people trying to survive, but wanting to rise up against oppression. And that just makes for very compelling storytelling. With the series finale, Andor solidifies itself as the best Star Wars series yet. From the tense narrative to the unpredictable story turns, the gritty grounded world, and the complicated characters with complex emotions. Tony Gilroy's craft is immense, and he deserves all the applause for crafting a grounded sense of stakes and compelling themes of sacrifice, elevating the season to culminate in a finale that is emotional, rousing, intimate, and grandiose all at once. I'm giving Andor an A. That's going to do it for my take on Andor's finale and season as a whole. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comments down there and rank the episodes from worst to best according to yourself. Big thanks to my channel members for always supporting the channel, and I'll be back very soon. So until the next one, love each other and love the movies.